yourself an enjoyable week, and welcome back to Forever Conscious Research channel. So we are going to dive into the something's wrong here. Well, whatever. Anyways, that's fine. It's good enough. Sorry about that. So anyways, today we're going to be diving into the channel called Open Your Reality, and it's run by a man named Chad. And a few months back, I believe it was, he ran across Eric Dubay's video that he did on the Soul Trap. And I know many of you out there found my channel, Dan's channel, and Wayne's website and the interviews through Eric. So big thank you to him for helping other people see the Soul Trap and giving it some much needed attention. So I appreciate that. And so Chad ran across that video by Eric, and of course I have responses to that. And then there's also some follow-up videos as well that occurred after that. I think I have 4 videos in total. There's also an interview with Tom Campbell that he did that I'm not going to get into tonight, because that's going to be a video dedicated to responding to Tom Campbell himself. So, but let's just say there's this common misunderstanding throughout almost anyone who hears of the Soul Trap. They automatically associate it with, oh, we're forced to come back. And they said, no. We're manipulated, deceived. That's what's going on, my friends. It's not that, they have an astral gun to your head saying, hey, you go to the light or else, or, follow me or else, or, take this memory wipe or else. No, it's because we fall into this illusion lifetime after lifetime, forgetting where we came from, why we're here, where we're going. And then we also build up all these attachments over time. So the biggest misconception, and Tom is right at the top of the list with this, is that it's automatically perceived as you've got no choice, you've got to do it, blah, blah, blah. No, that's everything that myself, Wayne, and Dan talk about. We stress the importance that, you should be rooted in sovereignty and liberation, non-interference. I think all 3 of us agree to that, hands down. And that is the best approach. I mean, I wish there was some other approach we can say, and that we could maybe trust someone or something out there when we're passing away and leaving here that has our best interest at heart. But if anything, this realm has proven, and the astral has proven, is that there is clear manipulation going on both ends of the spectrum. And they work in unison together with this reality, this realm. So those things just need to be said before we continue. So, yeah, let's get going. I mean, I hope, Chad, if you listen to this, look, before we start, sorry, one more thing, Chad, if you listen to this, if you ever want to have an open discussion about this on your channel, I'm more than willing to. And I think if you are a true seeker, like you seem to represent, that you'll see this. It might take a little time, but you've already kind of got a leg up by looking at some of the things that you have. So maybe it might not take as long. I don't know. But I mean, I like to say, err on the side of caution, a year or 2. Some people see it sooner, but there's so many topics and subtopics. So I'm not going to drone on about that, but it's all the information and the data points speak for themselves. So, okay. Sorry for that long-winded intro and re-intro. So this is Chad from, didn't mean to do that. Okay, there we go.
Welcome to Open Your Reality, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Chad, In this video, I want to address the creator itself. Whether you believe it's God, the LCS, or some other source, I think we really have to question why the world is so fragmented and troublesome. Of course, there are many positives in life, but it seems as if this world was created to instill maximum fear in us. After all, we are nothing more than spirits housed in a flesh and bones body. A body that is susceptible to germs, disease, starvation, animals, and of course, other human beings. In 90% of my videos,
and astral parasites.
I look at the positive side of things, the positive side of the whole universe. But in this video, I want to look at some of the darker things in creation. Because ours is a world where many of us have to continually fight for our survival and our sanity. It was Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, the great German writer, who said, "We do not have to visit a madhouse to find disordered minds. Our planet is the mental institution of the universe." Indeed, I'm sure that's how many of you feel. As I continue to post videos on this channel and read your comments, I have come to understand where most of my audience is and how they view the world. And I recently came across an Eric Dubay video. Yes, an Eric Dubay video.
Yes, an Eric Dubay video.
Eric Dubay video. Yes, an Eric Dubay video. Where he poignantly asked why our world has to be the way it is. And he also questions whether this world is a soul trap, designed to ensnare our souls, similar to how humans were enslaved in the Matrix movies. If you don't know who Eric is, he's the father of the modern flat earth movement. But don't roll your eyes just yet, because this video is not about flat earth. Eric's also explored many other conspiracy ideas. I would tell you what they are, but they're so crazy that I think you would just tune out of this video if I told you. Some of you know who he is. I've corresponded with Eric several times by email, asking him if he'd like to come on the channel for an interview, and unfortunately he declined each time. So Eric, if you're watching, well, I think it's about time. It's March 2022. You need to come on Open Your Reality.
I mean, I don't know about you guys, but if I'm sitting in Eric's shoes there, and some guy's like kind of vaguely talking a little crap, and then says, "It's 22 and 2. It's time to come on." I mean, it's not really inviting. I mean, if this was the approach, I guess we can understand why he didn't show up, right? I mean, just saying.
And now I'd like to play you an excerpt from a recent video I watched with Eric Dubay talking about the soul trap, the state of the world. And without further ado, guys, here it is.
Perhaps this world isn't 100% perfect in the sense of how all religions praise the creator as being wholly benevolent and good. But what I see is a world of disease, aging, torture, death, natural disasters, psychopaths, parasites. There are so many things that happen in this world that if I was the creator, I wouldn't put them in the world, especially if I wanted to create a perfect world.
Right.
Why does a perfect world need natural disasters and animals that eat other animals to survive, or even to eat anything to survive? Why can't we remember our past lives or remember the in-between life state? Why is there this memory wipe associated with this world? Why do parasites and psychopaths exist?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing, Chad, that you really should take away from this is like the nail in the coffin for the soul trap, is the memory wipe. The fact that we come here under the veil of forgetfulness, not knowing where we came from, why we are here, where we are going. And the only way you can kind of get some semblance of it is if you really, really work hard on yourself. And it's not easy. It's not easy. And even then, you're not going to have this huge moment where all this information comes flooding in and you can say, oh, okay, now I remember. Okay, I'm in a game, or I'm in this, I'm doing whatever I'm doing. I hate saying it's a game, but you get the point. Like, it would make more sense that way. Like, oh, you know, it's a challenge or something, but still you cannot excuse the atrocities away on top of all that. So we have memory wipe, atrocities, and we can go on and on and on, but I'll let Eric continue on this one.
That is what they use, it seems, to get us to consent to coming back to this world and this system over and over again, is this idea of karma, or the idea that we can do better and that this is a school and negativity exists because we need to learn from it. And there's some ultimate mission somewhere that ultimately we're able to graduate from, and then that's worth all this torture and death and disease and dying and natural disasters and psychopaths and memory wipes and parasites and having to consume beings to stay alive and all of this stuff that doesn't have to exist in our reality, but it does. Instead of our bodies beginning the way they do and slowly aging and succumbing to disease and torture and dying, we could live in a world in which you slowly, your body becomes more and more like immortal, like Wolverine. What does he have? Not titanium, but adamantium. Adamantium. You know, we could have some sort of or gold, or whatever the strongest.
Or be
stuff.
entirely spiritual beings that don't need a corporeal physical form and can exist entirely in that sense. You know, I totally get you on that one. There's so many potentials and possibilities and ideas. I mean, the human imagination is nigh endless, if not actually endless. It's something that I feel like collectively we could come up with so much more interesting, so much better, so many better stories.
Who doesn't agree with that? How limiting is this existence? Anyone who's being honest, whether you believe in the soul trap or not, it's a very, very limited and toned down existence. And that's putting it nicely. Okay. You wake up every morning, you do this, you know, you go to work, you do your stuff, you go to sleep, come home. What do you have? A couple hours to unwind, relax, go to bed, wake up, do it all over again. And then, you know, you get to the weekend where you're weakened and, oh, you got a day or two. And then if you have kids and a whole family that you're dealing with, then, like, you know, you lose time to really look within yourself. You don't get as many of those moments, of course, depending on where you're at in life and what your matrix duties are.
Than what we are experiencing now.
Exactly. So why do we always come back here? Is this the only dimension in existence? Is this the only world there is to incarnate into? The only place souls can possibly go? Is this morally questionable place that has all these negative aspects that I'm saying? Like, there's nowhere in the multiverse that souls can go for actual peace.
Exactly. And Chad's going to bring up something later that is it's just so limiting in view. Not crapping on you, Chad. I'm just saying, you know, it's very limiting to just confine us to just this kind of universe, and that, like, we need to come back and experience physicality because we get bored or something. No, we've got to think bigger, guys. We have to think bigger. It's so limiting even for us to just confine existence to here in just the astral realm. What lays beyond that? What other massive, you can call it universes, multiverses, this whole, whatever is going on out there, okay? This has got to be a small fragment. Just think about how many of us are here, whatever you believe the true population is, and whatever you believe the true amount of essenced beings that are here. No matter what you believe there, it doesn't matter, because if we just have this amount here and in the astral, just think about all of the other things that we've created before. All the different realities, the experiences that we've played a role in just on our own. And then imagine combining forces with other true essence beings and creating massive, fun, safe, enjoyable, caring realities, not parasitic, where, you know, you're getting a little bit of love and care and happiness and joy, and then, you know, the rest of it's just like, you know, just like going along and being subjected to something like time. I mean, come on. It's so limiting to not think outside the box of here and the astral realm. We've got to think bigger, guys. We have to.
There's nowhere we can go where there's highly evolved soul, like no psychopaths, and just a bunch of like really empathetic, nice people that want to have a good time with their lives. Like, that doesn't exist anywhere in the multiverse that we can go. Like, I don't believe that. I feel like we have been tricked, just like trickedbythelight.com or some of these channels I recommended are talking about, that we're being tricked to come back in here, and we keep consenting to it because a memory wipe is part of this process, this reincarnation process.
Bam.
And a few people have little glimpses where they are able to see the in-between life state or their past life. What if we are all actually infinitely powerful, unique, sovereign creators ourselves, with the ability to create whatever world, heaven, or afterlife we wish on our own? But instead of creating and living in our own worlds, we're being tricked into reincarnating into someone else's creation here. A creation filled with pain, suffering, torture, death, natural disasters, disease, predators, psychopaths, parasites, no memory of previous lives, and many other things that I personally would never choose to have in my created world.
Exactly. And how has it not come to a stop? Like, one of the other key points I make in the trailer video for the channel, it's like, what's the purpose of life on Earth? Or, you know, a common sense look at the Earth School, or whatever the heck the video is called. And we talk about how we just, hold on. I lost my thought. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. It'll come back to me.
Suffering, torture, death, natural disasters, disease, predators, psychopaths, parasites, no memory of previous lives, and many other things that I personally would never choose to have in my created world.
Okay, that's the point. Okay, so he's talking about how, yeah, none of us would really want any of this crap that is parasitic in nature, okay? So why hasn't anything changed? Why does the historic record, anyone can come forward and say, okay, well, there's like this little glimmer of hope, and, you know, between a 5-year period, 10-year period, and this little section of the world, and, you know, it was all kumbaya. First off, we can't verify it, but, you know, sure, maybe there's a few kumbaya areas of the realm that have been around, okay? But they don't last. If history tells us anything, regardless of what you believe about history, there's one common narrative throughout. That's suffering, war, famine, all sorts of atrocities. See what I'm saying? So we do not have any steady, consistent record that things were different. We want to hope that they were, but there's nothing out there to prove such a thing. So, reverting back to Eric, none of us would want this to continue, okay? And if you took a poll, of everyone in the realm, with the exception of the difference for whatever percentage of parasitical minds are out there that get their rocks off on something like suffering and war and famine and all sorts of things like that, you would get probably close to 85%. I'm hoping it's more, but I guess I'm being generous that maybe there's 15% parasites out there. I don't know. And then, of course, you have segments of the population that actually love it here. They love it. You know, they don't see anything wrong with it. And, you know, it just does, no, not crapping on them, but, you know, it's just not their time to question this realm as thoroughly as we have. That's all. So, let's continue.
No memory of previous lives, and many other things that I personally would never choose to have in my created world. I wonder if the returning to oneness Brahma concept could be a deception used by the creators of this realm to get us to give up our individuality and submit to going back into the light of oneness soup with all the other recycled souls, right? It seems like these governments, this new world order, these secret societies, and this system of evil that operates in the physical world in this dimension, there may be an element of that in the other dimension that keeps us coming back here. People in most of the world's major religions now have this idea that whatever created this realm is 100% benevolent and good, and you should want nothing more than to reincarnate here. But what if there's better places? What if you can create your own better place and have other people come? What if there's all this, all these other souls in a sovereign area of the afterlife realm who are able to co-create and bleep in and out of each other's co-created worlds? And this one is more like a prison where we cannot leave it until we die. And it seems that way, like the way dreams work and the way sleep works is like, why do we have to sleep so often? What is dreams? What is it? Or out-of-body experiences and all that stuff. It's like our real being is intangible. It's an immortal soul. And we're being tricked to coming into this body in this subpar realm, this subpar dimension ruled by evil psychopaths. And even when we die, we get tricked to coming back in here rather than exploring the potentially infinite multiverse of much better dimensions that are most likely out there.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that video. Eric was very clear in what he said in terms of this world being not a place that's so kind to us. This isn't how things really should be. It seems that it's been contrived to be a fearful, dangerous, and sad world.
And parasitic.
For many people, at least. And while Tom Campbell has explained why this is so, and so have I in many of my videos, but every time I turn on the news and I read or see something tragic, it makes me question the Creator. Does it really have to be this way?
Okay, yeah, it's a great question. I think a question every single one of us has asked, Chad. And maybe we're giving too much to this Creator. If the Creator exists, because we know we're creator beings. So who knows how this all works? Maybe there's something up there that has some perceived power of through illusion and deception. But that doesn't necessarily make it all loving and caring. It's on our side. That's just really it's our matrix thinking to divert to that. And you know, I was there, so I get it. I do.
Maybe these are the lower realms. You know, there's one viewer I talked to, and he thinks that in a way this is HELL, and that there are higher realms where things get a lot better.
You know, a lot of people say that. A lot of people. I don't know about you guys. If you scan some of the comment sections, not necessarily even in my videos, but you know, take my videos aside. But if you just scrolling through random videos online about all sorts of different things, like people say this regularly enough. So, you know, I'll take a poll. I'm kind of curious if you've seen other people talk about it. I know many of us have thought that, but I'm just curious how, you know, if it's something you run across often enough, because I think it's a common thought.
And that there are higher realms where things get a lot better. Third density consciousness is tough.
Okay, so I'm sorry to cut it off again, but there are realms where things get better. Now, if you were to set up a system, Chad, where, okay, every so often you get thrown through the, pushed through the conveyor belt back to reincarnation in the physical, well, what are they going to do? They're going to kind of, when we leave our body, just believe for a minute that the soul trap's happening, okay? And that there is some sort of parasitic force out there, okay? So, Chad, if that's the case, wouldn't it make sense that the realms outside of the physical reality would be a little easier to handle, a little more free, a little bit of, you know, you have more powers. They realize already. They know that we're creator beings and powerful and capable of doing many things. So it's in the system's best interest to get us to buy into the illusion and think that, oh, you know, whatever you want to call it. I really don't like the whole fourth density, fifth. I don't like any of that stuff. I don't, you know, but the point is as long as it's within the matrix, as long as you are complying and going along with it, it doesn't care. So it can provide you this heavenly, amazing, beautiful, loving experience, like something like the light we see all the time with NDEers and all the other topics related who have an NDE-like experience. And then, of course, you have some who experience hell realms. But eventually, the cycle moves on. And as long as we keep falling for the illusion and giving this system the credence and respect it wants, then, well, we're only fooling ourselves and not anybody else. So, system doesn't care. Good or bad, whatever's going to keep you here, as long as your belief systems are within the system and buying into the illusion, then, well, it's going to win.
Maybe the toughest of all the densities. And that's why I think a lot of us have hope that we will get out of here. But we are here now. And, you know, I was thinking about this whole war situation going on in the Ukraine. And there are people that are losing their lives at this moment. There are people who will be maimed for life. Their whole lives changed in the blink of an eye. Why? Because someone made a decision to go to war. And because this one person, really more than one person, but this one leader chose to go to war, so many people have to suffer. And I think that this world won't change until the majority just puts down their arms and decides that they're not going to be in a madhouse anymore. And until we do that, I think we're going to continue to go down this, let's say, high entropy, low consciousness path. It's up to us to make the change, and I hope we can. The Law of One says that the harvest moving up to fourth density.
Okay, I'm sorry, there's two different things, but obviously that last part is really, you know, blatant, but here, just listen.
Let's say, high entropy, low consciousness path.
Okay, because he uses the term we. Like, hopefully we will, you know, bring about this change or for the better and this and that. Now, mind you, I do think that if there was a huge collective blast all at once and that we all kind of awakened and realized our true powers and this and that, that we theoretically could take down the system. But on the other hand of things, I also believe that we can end up in a situation where the realm is actually reset. Like if the Matrix sees that, you know, everyone's expanding their consciousness and thinking for themselves, being open-minded about this and that, and alternative ideas, and realizing their parts of their true self. Well, all the Matrix has to do is boop, reset. And we know that cataclysms have occurred here. They have. We don't know how often they occur, but they happen enough where who knows what the reasoning is. But it's like we're kind of stuck in between. And what I've found, as hard as it is that really this truly is an individual journey for each and every one of us. That's really what I think we're all dealing with. We're not, it's great to think in the terms of collective, but in all reality, the sad truth is that we're all on an individual journey, but we can share in it together with other like-minded people and bounce ideas off each other and send support each other's way and look out for one another. But at the end of the day, we're all on a solo journey here. And it's up to us to reclaim our true essence and say enough with the illusion.
It's up to us to make the change, and I hope we can. The Law of One says that the harvest moving up to fourth density, consciousness.
Okay, so Law of One talks about the harvest. The harvest to fourth density. Harvest. I mean, that's some pretty strong words. Just like we're being harvested for our energy and creative abilities and all these other things. I mean, oh, okay. Oh, so what's the Matrix going to do? Pull the wool over our eyes, make us feel like, oh, we're going to 4D. Let's go, baby. Pack up the bags. No, I mean, it's, and over a course of like a 700-year period or whatever the number is. And that's just more false hope. Oh man, it's 700. It's sometime between now and the next 700 years. Okay, hopefully it'll be in my lifetime. That's the type of thinking it ingrains in someone to make them hope that, well, all right, I'm just going to hope that our time period happens to fall in the lower end of the 700 years and that everything is going to be hunky-dory at the end. Now, if any of this is true, and, personally, I'm not signing on to that part, but I'm saying if any of it's true, it's probably referring to something like transhumanism. Mixing these virtual realities, these virtual worlds with our current existence. And who is controlling that? Chad, this is the problem. I mean, all this stuff is not coming from well-intended companies or people or groups. It's just not. If you look at the way technology is advanced and who's in control of it and who is plotting the future, it's scary. It doesn't look like some, kumbaya 4D moment where we're all going to be jumping for joy. It just doesn't. So these are just things we got to think about. That's all, Chad.
Takes place within the next 700 years. Anytime between now and then. If it can come now, be a lot better. But I was just thinking about what it would be like if my life was changed in the blink of an eye. If I lost a limb, or if I lost my sight, or if I was in a wheelchair. How would I feel about living the next 30, 40, 50 years like that? My physical body would definitely be constrained by the rule set of this virtual reality. I don't know if I would want to be around anymore. It all depends, because I love to get out there and move around, and I don't know. It's a fear, but this whole world is based on that fear. Maybe it's a test. Maybe it had to be this way. Maybe we need to eat other animals, and other animals need to eat other animals. And
we don't need to. We don't need to. But this realm is set up in a way for people to, have to consume that way. And again, I'm not someone who's going to be pushing any sort of dietary views on anyone, but I am strictly talking about the mechanisms and how everything eats off of one another. It's the dog eat dog world. And there's no getting around that. No getting around it.
Maybe it's just that's how it evolved, as Tom Campbell said. But somehow I feel like the creator can change things, can change the simulation. Well, until that time, I'm just going to be doing.
Now, see, like, I wish there was some, I like that transition there. I wish there was, I don't know, maybe you just had to do another cut. He coughed or something. I don't know. But I was curious. Maybe there was like something else he wanted to say there. And maybe he took it out. I don't know. But, I'm just going to say, if anyone is looking for external validation or false hope from some entity outside of themselves, good luck. Good luck. This, again, I am not some, doom and gloom guy, but I'm just trying to say it's been proven. You know, we've got quite a bit of history. Regardless of how far back that history goes, we have enough where, you know, this just keeps going on and on. This supposed creator of love and happiness and that everything is in our best interest, this type of stuff, it's old. It's old, it's washed up, and we need a new way of thinking. And that's through sovereignty and liberation and non-interference, individualism, and nothing else. Just to play on the safe side. That's it. There's nothing wrong with that type of motive in life. Because it can't hurt. There's no way it can hurt you. It can only help. But if we fall into this program type of thinking, that something external to us is going to help, or it should step in, or this or that, or blah, blah. Well, it doesn't. It hasn't. And maybe this is just the way it's supposed to be because we're in some sort of parasitic illusion that we need to find our own way out of without the help of not one other being, especially at the time of natural death.
Can change things, can change the simulation. Well, until that time, I'm just going to be doing the best I can in this world. And that means putting out videos for you guys. And I'm going to put out that video on my diet soon, my daily routine, and how I make these videos with all the gear I use and stuff, because I know some of you are interested. So that's all coming this month, so stay tuned. And I'm trying to work on some people for new interviews, including Eric. We'll see.
Oh, come on, Chad. You want to talk? You want to talk about the soul trap? I'm down, man. Let's help spread the word. That's all we gotta do. Just allow the information to go out there. I'm willing to go on shows and talk. I've got about 5 shows I'm gonna be doing between next month and the end of the year, and I would love to get on and spread the word, because that's kind of my next path is to help spread it to more who will listen, just like Eric did. So if you ever want to have me on, feel free to reach out.
Thank you for tuning in to another Open Your Reality video. And thank you to all the people who sent in donations in the last week or two.
Okay. So that is the end of the first video. Going to move on to the next one. Just got to put this screen up really quick. All right. So the next one is, I'm guessing he got a little bit of heat. I'm not sure about from how many, but you'll see. Like the title of the video is, "Am I truly misleading people with the soul trap?" The soul deception. Okay. And the exact titles of the videos are in the description tab if you'd like to search them out. Again, the channel name is Open Your Reality. Yeah.
Welcome to Open Your Reality, guys. I'm Chad. In this video, I want to address a comment I got on my last video, Is the World a Soul Trap? And it's by Ashley Young, who said, basically, what are you doing leading people astray that this world is a soul trap and that we shouldn't believe in reincarnation? And she's like, how do you not explain the truth to them at the end of the video, at least? And my response to that is, I have a very open mind. And I don't mind looking at both sides of an argument. Personally, I'm looking for the truth.
I'm going to hold you to that, Chad.
And I'm willing to explore every possible side of it to see what makes sense. And there are a lot of people that have commented since the time I've had my channel that they think this world is a soul trap. And Eric Dubay is somebody that I've listened to through the years. He has some really far out theories like dinosaurs never existed, nuclear bombs don't exist, flat earth, and a bunch of other conspiracy theories I'm not going to get into. but I find him to be pretty interesting. And as I've said before in so many of my videos, I do not believe that this world is a soul trap. And I've looked at the work of Dr. Michael Newton, Dolores Cannon, and of course Tom Campbell, and none of them think that this world is a soul trap either.
You know who does? You know who does? The Gnostics, the Buddhists, Hindus hint at it. I mean, it's not, it's just different. And as far as Newton goes, I did a cover-to-cover commentary, Chad, of Newton's books, both Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. And anyone who's new to the channel, I know a lot of new people came around. If you're interested in checking those out, they're really long. But, if you're at work or got a long ride or something, you don't need to look at anything. You can just play it in the background. And they are extremely revealing. And you know what Newton admits, Chad? Newton admits point blank that he had help. He had help writing his books. He also got pushback from people. One, I think, was a very close friend. One was an audience member. I think he brought it up at one time in each book. In one of the books, he said, or someone in the audience, I may be mixing them up, but I know one in each book was each of these things occurred. So in one of them, Newton was talking about something to do with whatever it was, relation to life between lives and the hierarchy and this soul color tagging and whatever. Okay, the number, whatever it exactly was. An audience member in the middle of the lecture goes, "Aha! I knew it was like a scam or something." Blah blah blah, and that was it. Like Newton really didn't say much else, but that was brought up. Then I think in the second book, Destiny of Souls, there is I think a colleague or a close friend who was concerned about this whole experience being a setup. Now, and Newton explained it away. Okay, so just because Newton and Dolores Cannon and Campbell are not calling it outright, and Campbell just denies it completely. Okay, I look at Michael Newton and Dolores Cannon. They were tangoing with these things. They were involved with these entities. Okay, in regressions, how even though they are helpful. And there are data points there to be seen. And that's the telling moment. You see over and over and over and over again all this endless crap that people need to go through, or creator beings need to go through in order to come back here and do it all over again and work on this and work on that. Like one person, it's either, I think, they had worked 5,000 lifetimes, Chad. 5,000 lifetimes on empathy. On empathy. Isn't that insane? And Newton, again, openly admitted in his books he had help from his spirit guides. Almost word for word. He said something exactly like that. I'm not, I can't hammer off the exact quote, but it's pretty close. His books, he admits that he got help. That's concerning. If you have a matrix system, he sold millions of books. I think he might have been a bestseller. I don't know. I know he sold a lot. Okay. Dolores Cannon sold a lot. Well, something that comes to my mind is that, they're conduits for the matrix marketing department. Sounds out there, I know. But I mean, if you listen to those stories, those regressions, case after case after case after case, you see the deception and the manipulation up front and center. It's right there, man. So maybe consider going over the books again, because I went over them when I, didn't have Soul Trap in mind, and I was like, oh, wow, well, now this makes a lot more sense as to what's going on, or blah, blah, blah. But then you revisit them with a new set of eyes, and you just like, wow. It just, with the soul trap lens, and then putting everything into perspective about how this realm works and how the astral works. And then, of course, like the life between lives, that area is just one component. Then you have NDEs, you have breakthrough trip reports, you have deathbed visions and visitations where people are being told, by loved ones or Jesus or Buddha or Muhammad or God itself or whoever, the dog, the cat, whoever. Okay, your time is near and you're going to die soon. So say your goodbyes, do what you got to do, get your affairs in order, and then you're going to come with us to the tunnel and to the light. That's what they say. Over and over and over and over again. They are being told what to do. My whole thing is that those things need to be shut down, Chad. We need to be rooted in sovereignty and liberation and non-interference, and see what that does for us. Again, it can't hurt, right? Otherwise, we're just rolling the dice and hoping that, this cosmic bullshit is going to turn out all right. And then, as you point out, and I think maybe this video or one of the other ones, you talk about how the memory's erased. And that, the Earth experience is just a dream and it just flows away, and that's it. That's the problem right there, Chad. This is the problem. We all know this is true. It's happening. The memory wipe happens in NDEs, for Christ's sake. It happens to all of us when we get here. But it also happens when we leave here. Why is that happening, Chad? Why is it a distant memory? And if we're here to learn and evolve in a school, the Earth School, then how come we don't take our memories with us? How are we learning and growing and evolving and all this other stuff if we don't have our memories, bro? See what I'm saying?
And Miss Cannon and Dr. Newton, they've regressed thousands upon thousands of patients to the between life state and to previous lives. And I can't recall any one patient saying that this is a soul trap. Now, there were a few patients that had bad experiences, but overwhelmingly, they talk about the spirit world as being something good. A place where there's a lot of love, where...
Of course. That's part of the hook. All about the love, baby.
Being something good. A place where there's a lot of love, where there are beings that care for us, of a higher power, meaning God. Now, I know this world seems cruel, and that's one of the reasons why I put that video out, because a lot of you ask me why we have to suffer so much. Why is the world so cruel? And I just wanted to illustrate that side of it. Just because I put out a video talking about the other side doesn't mean that I support it. I thought I made it kind of clear in that video, maybe I didn't, but in the beginning, where I said these are Eric Dubay's thoughts, and sometimes it seems that there's a lot of suffering in the world, and it could seem like a soul trap, but that's not what I believe. If you've watched my channel regularly, you know I do not take that position. And I've made a video like that before. Back in, I believe it was 2019, I made a video on the Archons, David Icke. Nobody said anything back then.
That's because the soul trap topic is heating up. The word is spreading. We're going past the Icke phase and going to the heart of the matter, right to the experiencers.
I made one video on it. And the reason that I made a video on it was because people were just interested to know, are we ruled by the Archons? Are we enslaved in a soul trap? I do not think that's the case. I think that, like some of you said in the comments section, we can't experience the beauty and the good without the bad. And this whole reality is really nothing more than a dream in the mind of God. It was consciousness that created the world, and it's consciousness that holds it together. If you ever read chapter 34 of Autobiography of a Yogi, and I was working on this today, and if you've never read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda, it is, to me, the #1 spiritual book that you can read to enlighten your soul. Truly. Magnificently written, the language, the richness, the detail of it. But anyway, in that chapter, it talks about how Babaji was able to construct this amazing palace for one of his disciples. And he did it just by materializing it using his mind. And I've already spoken that audio chapter. I just need to edit it. And then I'll probably put it on my secondary channel, Ben the Spoon. If you don't know, that is my secondary channel. And I'll let you guys know when I do that. And then I'll put a corresponding video out here on Open Your Reality, basically summarizing the chapter and talking about it. Because I think it's fascinating that we're all a dream in the mind of God. And just like we have dreams every night.
See, a dream in the mind of God. What is that doing? Like, I'll be honest, Chad, I've seen some of your videos over the years, but I don't know exactly what you mean by that. Let me just, one more time.
I think it's fascinating that we're all a dream in the mind of God.
A dream in the mind of God. So the one thing I'll say is if you mean some higher power, which I do think you do, then what is that doing? That's immediately disconnecting yourself and giving your essence to something exterior to yourself, because you're letting us know that you believe in something that has power over you. And that, so maybe you can clarify that. Maybe I'm wrong, but my gut tells me, based on some of the things I've heard, that, it's still some power that is looking out for you. It's got your best interest, and that, there's reasons for all this going on, and that, we're just God's plaything, I guess, right? I don't know.
And just like we have dreams every night, and we construct these very rich, elaborate scenes, and they feel real. And then when we wake up, they're just dematerialized like that, and we usually forget them. It's the same thing with God. We're just doing it on a much smaller scale. And someone like Babaji, the famous deathless guru that's spoken about in Autobiography of a Yogi, could do the same thing, except on a bigger scale than we do in our dream world. And so in chapter 34, we're told that when God decides to dematerialize the earth, it will all disappear, and all the energy will go back towards being consciousness. So I do.
Okay, so my opinion is if that's going to happen, it's going to take a multi-realm wide mass realization as to what is going on here. Because I don't think it's going to come from some outside source. Unless, of course, maybe it's like a reset thing of the construct itself. But in reality, what does that do? Everyone, quote unquote, dies. They get recycled. They go through the conveyor belt all over again. And then the realm is ready and waiting, refreshed. A new version is out, or whatever the case may be. But as far as, whenever God's done whenever God's finished having his fun with us and casting down all this suffering, well, it'll just dissolve, I mean, so, see, that doesn't work for me. It just doesn't work for me, Chad.
When God decides to dematerialize the earth, it will all disappear, and all the energy will go back towards being consciousness. So I do believe that the Creator is benevolent, that the Creator is good. Why does there have to be suffering? Why do animals have to eat other animals? Why is there so much cruelty? I believe it's just the rule set of our particular virtual reality, and that it has evolved like this. It just had to in order for us to be here.
It just had to evolve in order for us to be here. It had to get to this point. That's just the way it evolved. But what about the mechanisms, Chad? What about how, I mean, I'm just talking about our modern day time, Chad. Like, think about it. We're born into this world. We're sent to, we got a few years with our mom or our dad or both our parents, and then we're shipped off to indoctrination camps. Until the age of 18, and then we most likely continue that experience afterwards for another 4 years, sometimes 8 years, sometimes 10 years. I mean, so isn't that kind of showing that we're just bowing down to this system? Like, if you come in here, and then of course the other big thing I like to talk about on the channel is how much intergenerational trauma and indoctrination plays into all of this. So our parents and our parents' parents and our parents' parents' parents, like, this just keeps going on and on and on and on. The cycle does not break because of the system that is provided. And again, if we look, I know I'm saying it again, but if we look back at history, we see the same crap going on over and over. We're just in our modern day version of it, but nothing's changed. So that's all.
It's kind of like this. Everything is virtual. Consciousness is the only thing that's real. But in order for consciousness to learn, it had to come down into this virtual reality world we call Earth, suit up in these flesh suits, and interact. And the way I see it is the way Tom Campbell sees it. Consciousness is the only real thing in all of existence. And this whole world is a dream. It's illusory. Scientists have said it, mystics have said it, I'm saying it. It feels real to us because we're here and we're in it.
Here comes the excuse train.
And when you have pain, when you cut your finger and you see it bleed, you're not saying to yourself, it's just an illusion, it'll go away. No, because it feels so real to us. But the fact of the matter is that nothing is truly real except our consciousness. And our consciousness needed this virtual reality to come down into in order to experience things in a different way than just being a consciousness in the void.
Okay. All right. Look, that very well may be the case, that we wanted to come and experience this crazy land. Okay. I do think we all consent at some point. Whether that consent is kind of given by us being lured in or attracted to something, or maybe word on the street out in the multiverse is like, hey, you want a challenge? Go to Earth, get your ass kicked. Maybe we'll see you in a couple billion years with no time or whatever. I mean, it's really, it's something that I think we all initially did want to come and experience. Maybe, Wayne Bush and I think talked about how, could be some bullshit. Like, some of us were out like making bets and like flipping a coin, like heads you go to Earth, tails you don't go to Earth, and one of us lost. I mean I know that's out there and silly, but the point is it could be stupid things similar to that, and just wanting the challenge and coming here and then not realizing what's involved with it because we do not have something to compare it to. Like, if you're out in pure existence, or you pull up to the astral realm gates or whatever that keeps Earth behind it, the physical realm behind it, and you get in and you say, hey, what the hell's going on here? Let me check this out. And then you start kind of getting the lay of the land, and then finally like, all right, I'll go give it a try. But you don't realize what it's like to be in a vessel like this on Earth, experiencing things like suffering, experiencing things like the veil of forgetfulness, and everything else that comes along with it. So there is definitely a lack of communication and us guarding ourselves properly when we come down here.
And the reason the world appears to be so cruel and only seems like a soul trap is because of our perspective. We have certain expectations for what a world should look like. And we look outside and it doesn't look like our expectations. We know that there is evil in this world. However, again, there couldn't be evil without the good, and there couldn't be good without the evil. It's just to a matter of what degree. And there are many, many, many levels. Just like in tennis, a sport I play.
All right. I'm sorry. I'm going to rewind it just a little bit because there was something I wanted to say, but I wanted him to finish
what a world
his
should
thought.
look like.
Okay.
Is because of our perspective.
Listen.
We have certain expectations for what a world should look like.
Yeah, we have certain moral and ethical thoughts on what this place should be. And it does not meet any of them. Any of them in any way, shape, or form. It's a disgrace what's going on here. You know, okay, we can talk about the control structure and how that all plays out, okay, and how it's ruling over every man, woman, and child, and even animals, okay, across the realm. But it doesn't explain, Chad, how this body is set up in a certain way, specifically set up in a certain way, Chad, to garner suffering, to overthink, to not be able to connect with our true essence. The way I see it, Chad, is if we wanted to right now, like if we all figure out the game right now, we're all sitting here, all 140 something of us, okay? We're all sitting here saying to ourselves, okay, all right, the jig is up. I know what's going on here, and I want my full true essence back. That should be the end of it, Chad. If it is some sort of twisted game and or whatever the case may be, then, you know, if you figure out the game and you rediscover yourself along the way, there shouldn't, that's it. Like if you want out, you should get out. You know, you should be able to use your free will appropriately and not continue to make excuses for this reality and throw duality up as a shield. It just doesn't work. Because it's just very, I'll just say it, it's very new agey, Chad, to throw, oh, well, you wouldn't have the darkness without the light, you wouldn't have the lightness without the dark, you know. That's just like, to me, it's the, I'm just gonna be honest, it's like Stockholm syndrome on steroids that we're dealing with. And, you know, again, Chad, not trying to be a jerk or anything, I'm just telling you how I feel. That's all.
And we look outside and it doesn't look like our expectations. We know that there is evil in this world. However, again, there couldn't be evil without the good, and there couldn't be good without the evil. It's just to a matter of what degree. And there are many, many, many levels. Just like in tennis, a sport I play, there are a ton of levels in tennis. Someone could say, how good are you? I say, I'm good. But there are literally so many levels, and it's the same thing in existence. There are so many levels. And right now, we're in a particular virtual reality where there are a lot of levels. It really depends on who you are, where you live, and how you think. In my particular reality, things are not so bad. You know, I generally don't mingle with people who are bad, and therefore, I usually have pretty good experiences. And I also think a certain way. I think about things in a good, positive way most of the time. Therefore, my dreams are very positive. And usually my interactions are with people as well, like you guys, right? I mean, most of you seem to be like me, very positive, uplifting, and believing in a lot of the same stuff. And when you're not like that, when you're negative and you're, you know, cohabitating or mingling or friends with people that are,
hey, smoking a blunt over there,
you know, cohabitating or mingling or friends with people that are let's just say, less than savory, well, a lot of bad things can happen in your reality. So there really is.
Okay, look, in a way, he is right. Like, all right, so I'll give you an example, and I'm sure everyone can relate with something like this or similar. So let's, for instance, looking into something like SRA. All right, that is some dark, horrible crap to run across. Okay, but I feel that going through and realizing something like that is going on here is important. But, you know, you spend a little bit of time in those things and you move on. The key thing, Chad, is it's not easy for everyone, but it's also important to be able to compartmentalize honest research and truth and confronting the world around you and realizing what's going on and understanding it, but not wallowing in it. Now, if you wallow in it and you're talking down on yourself and in the pits of hell, well, then yeah, your life can be a reflection of that. So I know I've been through it. So, and it was a result of certain things that I was consuming at the time, you know, so I'm not anyone to talk, but when you realize your true power and that, okay, you know, the best way to look at everything is like, okay, it's just the Matrix. It's a shit show. It's a clown show. It sucks, but I'm going to do what I got to do. All right. I'm still going to go camping. I'm going to go for a walk. I'm going to spend time, you know, throwing the ball with the dog, or, you know, going out to a movie or a concert or whatever the case may be. All right. And just trying to do your best. But when it approaches wallowing in misery and overthinking everything, well, that's when it can really come in and impact your reality. So there's kind of like a dividing line there, like about how you feel about yourself and the reality around you. Like it's the way I like to look at the whole soul trap thing is that it's reluctant acceptance. I don't like it. I wish it was different. If it was different, I wouldn't be talking about it. But this is where it leads. And there's over 20 different topics and subtopics, Chad, that show this thing beyond belief. And if you ever want to talk about it, feel free to reach out.
There's a very large range where people can fall into. But overall, when you look at the average level of the quality of consciousness of the people on Earth, it might be at a particular level. And there are other virtual realities that are higher levels, some lower, as Tom Campbell said. Because why is Tom Campbell so special? What's so special about him that he can come up with his grand theory of everything and propose it and write books?
Because Tom is traversing within the Matrix. That's why. Tom, I don't think, has broken past the barrier of the Matrix world. So there's all sorts of different realms within the astral and within the umbrella of the Matrix that are amazing. Some incredibly loving and caring and happy, and then some the polar opposite. But we all don't know what exists beyond that unless we take control of ourselves and not just assume that everything is on the up and up, that everything has our best interest at heart, and that all these realms are good and to our benefit. It's just thinking that is too presumptuous. And, you know, it is what it is.
Well, what's so special about Tom is that he can use his mind to access the larger consciousness system. He can, in essence, tune out the data stream of Earth life and explore other virtual realities and come back to tell us about it. That's really what's so special about Tom. Not to mention that one viewer also recently asked why Tom seems to be so emotionless. Isabella, I've been corresponding with her through email.
I actually like that question.
And she said, did you ever notice that Tom seems very, let's say, not very sympathetic, kind of emotionless? And I responded to her by saying that Tom's stance is kind of similar to a Zen monk, where he's not too up and he's not too down, he's right in the middle. He's Zen-centered, and he doesn't let the drama of this world upset him. It doesn't get him up, doesn't get him down. He stays right in the middle. So it can appear that someone is not empathetic, emotionless, but I don't think that's the case. I think that Tom is just very in control of his emotions. He understands the drama of the world will play out as it is, and he remains centered. And besides, if you can go off into different data streams and different virtual realities, then you can kind of tune out of troubles in this world. Not to say Tom has too many troubles. I don't know him personally like that. But he told me in our first interview that he almost never gets upset, which is impressive.
He didn't get upset, but he did shit on the Soul Trap and completely misconstrued it as something that it's not. He was way off base in what he said. And to be honest, and perfectly upfront with Tom, he said those things because I don't think he's truly looked into it deep enough. And he's had these preconceived notions about what other people are saying. And that, the default that some people make, that it's, you're trapped, you have nothing to do with it, and, blah, blah. And so like it just shits on the whole premise immediately. And again, there will be a video about what Tom said about the Soul Trap that will be coming in the very near future, probably within the next month or so.
So those are my thoughts on whether I believe that the world is a soul trap or not. It's not. And Ashley Young, I'm sorry if I offended you in any way with that video. My intention was not to tell my viewers that this world is a soul trap, but rather just to show the other side of the coin. And if you've, again, watched many of my videos, you know my stance. So I didn't want to give anybody that wrong impression that I've converted to the dark side, and I believe with the David Icke and Archons. I just respect every side. I want the truth. It doesn't matter. So
okay, that's not me. I don't believe in the Soul Trap, but I just want the truth. I mean, you know what, Chad? That when I started talking about this topic more and more, there was a huge base of previous subscribers that stopped watching. And, we just don't talk much anymore. Like, I was covering all sorts of different things back then, and, we've gone our different ways, and, no hard feelings at all. But I think something that you got to realize is that you shouldn't be worried about getting pushback in the comment section. It's going to happen no matter, you know this, you've been doing this longer than I have and have a much bigger subscriber base. So I'm sure you get way more comments on top of it. So the key thing is that those who truly desire truth will see it. And this is the most important truth of this existence. Hands down. Hands down. And it's so glaringly obvious and in our face, but we don't want to admit it to ourselves. There are these phases that you go through, and I equate them to the stages of grief, because that's what it is. Because you're slowly, or sometimes very fast, having your entire preconceptions about what you thought reality was the window before your face and just drop like a ton of bricks. And that can be difficult. But remember, the positive side to all of this is ridiculously self-empowering, and that is non-interference, sovereignty, and liberation. I mean, you can't get a more positive message at the end of all this. And that's the only thing I talk about. So even like I remember, Chad, when you were interviewing Tom and the question of the soul trap came up, the comment specifically said the people that believe in the soul trap are like a cult. Well, let me just say this, Chad. On this channel, there's no guru, no culty type activities. It's all, I mean, if non-interference, sovereignty, and liberation is a cult, then sign me up. I mean, because that's the only thing I push here. It's the only thing I say. Just playing it safe and seeing what the hell happens. I don't have all the answers. I don't pretend to have all the answers. But when the word cult is thrown in there, and then, of course, we had another person recently call it, what was it? I can't remember. Fundamentalism. It's like fundamentalists. It reminded her of fundamentalists. I mean, come on. It just, what it shows is that the information that people are looking at about the soul trap are probably not Wayne Bush, not Dan at Overwatch channel, and not me. Because it's nothing of the sort. So, anyways, just thought I'd put that out there. A little hard to hear that. Not gonna lie.
So I'm open to looking at all the possibilities all the time. I try not to close my mind off, and I try to see for myself what's the truth. If I can do it experimentally, if I can see through observation, then great. Otherwise, it has to be something that's intuitive, and it also takes place in my head. And usually I formulate that over a period of time, thinking about it, like the great philosophers and thinkers. So that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions about anything I said, just drop them in the comment section.
All right. So what we're going to do is just take a quick 5-minute break. I will be right back. Thank you for your patience, and there's much more to come. Thank you. Welcome back, my friends. Thank you for your patience. All right, so we are going to jump back into... I don't think there's much left in this video. I will play just to see.
And thank you so much to everybody who has been supporting the channel financially. It is greatly appreciated. And I'm going to try to come back a video on how very soon about...
Okay. So that... Okay, so the next video is Reincarnation. Do we have a choice or not?
Well,
now see, this is exactly the type of thinking, the problem that we run into. And it just comes with the territory because of the name, right? I mean, the Matrix, Reincarnation, Soul, Trap. All right. And so there's like this widespread thing going on. I know I'm repeating myself, but it's important to make sure that this is put out there, that is not what we're talking about, that there's no choice. Because again, Tom Campbell said it and laughed at it like, you know, like, oh, they think they don't have a choice. They don't. You have a choice, but you first have to realize the bullshit that you're in. If you don't realize what the hell is going on here, and if you don't realize your true power, you're gonna end up back here, or at a minimum, if you don't have back here, you're gonna be a cog in the wheel of the Matrix. Either one. Both options aren't good. And subjected to memory wipes. That's just the way it is. So it takes finding yourself, truly, deeply connecting with yourself and researching to finally come to an understanding of what this nut house is all about. But if you don't get there, then yeah, it's basically like you're on autopilot and you will end up still in the Matrix system. So the objective is to apply that free will through something, non-interference, sovereignty, and liberation. That's it.
Welcome to Open Your Reality. I'm Chad. As you can tell, I'm on another bike ride. It is a beautiful evening outside. About 83 degrees, humid, warm, sultry, and very quiet. We have the moon right over there. I mean, I wish you guys could just be with it, but just take some of you guys and just bring you here and we can just stay under the moonlight and just talk about spirituality. That would be truly awesome. Before I begin, I just want to give a big shout out, the biggest one ever maybe, to Danielle for making a very generous donation to the channel. Thank you so much, Danielle. That money will really help more videos. The content here, I'm gonna consider that strong. Worth it if enough people want to see it, and up to Gideon. So we should ice cream about do you have to reincarnate? Because I see so many people in the comment section saying that they don't want to return here. Now, do you mean you don't want to return to any world or just this world? Now, what happens after we die? This is something that Tom Campbell talks about a lot in MBT. And for those not familiar with MBT, it's a theory developed by Tom Campbell, who was a NASA scientist. And I know people don't trust NASA, but he was also a consciousness researcher. He was actually trained by Bob Monroe, who was famous for going out of body. And even the term out of body is really a misnomer, according to Tom, because we don't really go anywhere, because we don't really have a body, because it's all virtual. But anyway, when we die here, what happens is we go to this transition reality, and then our free will awareness unit, basically our persona, what I call our persona, merges back with our soul. So, not to get in all the technical aspect of it, if you're totally lost on this, check out this video right here. This will explain it. This is the basics of MBT. So when we expire here, when our avatar gives up due to old age, accident, whatever, our awareness is no longer present in this reality. We go to a transition reality, and then we merge back with our soul, what Tom Campbell calls the individuated unit of consciousness, IUOC. Now, for those people who've had a traumatic life, people who've had really bad memories and do not want to return, what you have to understand is that once this life is over and you're returned to the spirit world, this life will fade away just like a dream.
Boom. I mean, openly admitted. Openly admitted. This will fall away like a dream. And I think it's also important to point out that I'm in agreement with Mark C in the chat. I feel that Chad is putting way too much into Tom and my big toe. Okay. Look, not gonna lie, Tom's put out some great work. I read the book and watched a bunch of his videos over the years. Look, there's a lot of good stuff there. I'm not discounting that, but he thinks he's like a know-it-all. Just gonna say. And if one thing research has taught me over the years is never, ever, ever put all your eggs in one basket and hope that that person is, either accurate, telling the truth, whatever words you want to use. It's not helpful to our progression as creator beings, as we're trying to seek truth, if we just kind of fall into guru stuff and that this person has all the answers, blah, 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 blah. There's a lot of people that travel the astral. And what's really interesting about Tom, Chad, is that, Tom and Tom and the Monroe Institute and everyone associated with the damn Monroe Institute will praise Bob to the hills. Oh, Lord Bob Monroe. And look, I thought Bob was smart as hell. All right. I am not crapping on him by any means. But when it comes to Loosh, this is the one thing the Monroe Institute will not talk about. I defy anyone to go and look. Go look, search. You will find one, at least I've only found one article about Loosh. And it was like some get together or something in California or New York or wherever it was. And it was talking about the positive side of Loosh. How to make positives out of Loosh. Okay. That is the only thing I've run across. And then you have Tom. Tom is, I think, the only Monroe Institute employee or, partial employee that has brought it up and shit on it. And basically he said, I was there when Bob Monroe talked about Loosh. And, remember the book. Bob himself said he was messed up for a couple weeks. I think it was tough, couple weeks or couple months. I think it was 2 weeks. And Tom was there, and it's like, it just everything is dispelled about those experiences. So if those things can be easily just thrown to the side, but he's a godlike being when it comes to everything else. But when it comes to Loosh, everyone is quiet as a church mouse. Why is that, Chad? Why? Nobody talks about it. Nobody wants to give it any sort of air, nothing. It's as if that whole section in the book is a joke. Means nothing. So, okay, so then we can go a step further, right? So let's bring this up to Tom specifically. So, Tom, if you can discount what Bob experienced in that, then what does that show? It shows that there is deception, right? I think we all know that there's deception, but deception is on the table then, right? By proxy, it's on the table. If you think Bob was manipulative and all this other stuff, or manipulated, I'm sorry, not manipulative, but manipulated, and that the whole Loosh thing is just complete garbage, then, well, that's a problem. Because what are we doing? We're just going to trust that the light is what it says it is, and that it's God, and that's, we're supposed to go down the tunnel, and that our loved ones are who they claim to be, and all this other stuff. We know deception exists here. We know deception exists in the astral. So is it completely out of the question and totally insane to think that perhaps maybe the afterlife mechanisms that come into play at the time of time of death aren't in our best interest? The point is it's possible. The other point is that what we experience here on Earth, okay, no matter what type of life you live, everyone can use common sense. Some people have it better than others. Some people have it, to the pits of hell worse than others. Okay, but we can all agree that suffering is a thing. It's a level of suffering, and I hate saying that. Yeah, I despise it. But the point is everyone experiences it. And then when you go to the flip side with experiencer data, everything is love and light, and God is love, God is the light. And all these amazing characters that you knew amongst your life that are there, they're loving, they got their arms open, they're welcoming you. And then some people, like an NDs, they get kicked out. Grandma, grandpa, mom, dad, the dog, cat kicks them back out. God kicks them out of God's kingdom. All this stuff. The point is there is deception. That is a fact. We can all agree on that. So the question is how far does that deception go? How deep is that deception? And just because something is presenting love, presenting joy and happiness and all this other stuff, does it necessarily automatically mean that it's for our best interest and that it's on the up and up? Or is it on the table that the entire thing is an illusion and deception? It cannot be discounted. I don't care. There's no amount of information that can come forth and say any different because of just those things existing. So that's why non-interference, sovereignty, and liberation is the best approach, just to, again, play it safe. And if I'm wrong, we're all wrong, okay, so be it. So we go to the fucking light. Big deal. All right? But not until we have rediscovered ourselves, we have every single memory that we have accessed and have experienced throughout existence, and move forward that way. If being involved with the reality means I'm going to lose my memories over and over and over and over and over again and not be connected with my true essence, I'm not interested. That's not a reality I want to be involved with. No, do not enter. We're done. It's over. So this is the problem, Chad. It's a big, big problem. We can't just assume that everything is love and light and that, everything has our best interests there. And I say the same thing to Tom. Same thing.
What happens when you wake up in the morning? Maybe you remember your dream. I know this happens to me. I remember my dream. There's pieces of it I remember. And then maybe 30 seconds, a minute goes by, and all of a sudden I can't remember half of it anymore. And then 5 minutes later, all I have is maybe a fleeting memory. So that's the way that Tom Campbell describes life. Our life, all the important things, right? Finances and, all these legal contracts and, all these things that are important to us, our possessions, maybe even relationships. Once you pass, that stuff is no longer important.
That stuff is no longer important. Yeah, it just goes away. Bye-bye. Off into the wind. Roll out the memory wipe. And then guess what? You get to do it all over again.
Legal contracts and, all these things that are important to us, our possessions, maybe even relationships. Once you pass, that stuff is no longer important. It just fades away, all the memories fade away. Because if you think about it, I believe reincarnation is real. MBT and Jason from Archaics, I mean, Law of One, they all talk about it.
Okay, you know what? I mean, I'm sorry. Let's go with the real sources, okay? University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies. Actual, real deep research. Dr. Ian Stevenson, Dr. Jim Tucker. I mean, that is where the heart of this research is. And if anyone has any question whether reincarnation is happening, that's where they should go. I'm sorry, not the sources that were just listed. Tom does have some interesting stuff to say about it, but I'm sorry. The true, down and dirty research that is thorough and well written and well researched, well funded, is with the University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies. Oof, let's get that out of me. Okay. University of Virginia Division of Perceptual Studies. Okay. Dr. Ian Stevenson, his books are out there. Dr. Jim Tucker, his books are out there. There's some great research out east too, but I would suggest starting with those. Some of those lectures can be found on YouTube right now, and you can learn that stuff pretty quickly and realize that, a lot of time and a lot of money has gone into this, and they have done it meticulously.
And we've lived many lives, so it would be very confusing if when we returned home to the spirit world, when we went back to our soul, that we remember all of these lifetimes. So it's just a natural process for the memory of any life to just fade away. Now that doesn't mean that we lose the memory of it forever, because we can always access it in the database, what most people refer to as the Akashic records. And we can do that in the spirit world. We could do it here too, if we knew how, if we can access that 0-point consciousness, that database.
If we knew how. If we could just access a flood of our memories, and if we could just do it. If we just knew how. It's designed, Chad, for us not to tap into all that. You might be able to people do get, information about a lifetime, few lifetimes. They could revert back to past experiences and live them out in this lifetime. A lot of amazing things we're capable of tapping into, but the whole picture, not going to happen. I don't care if anyone says that. I don't believe them. It just doesn't exist. The everyday person. Now there could there be, some, memory prodigy out there? Probably. Maybe they exist, but they're probably involved with the system. I'm going to be honest. I do think some of these beings that continually reincarnate here, some of them get to keep their memories, but they're part of the control structure. That's my opinion. Not saying that that's well researched and any truth behind it, because it's just an opinion, but it's something to consider. That if anyone is going to have access to a lot of memories, and even then, I don't think a being that is reincarnated or switches body or whatever is necessarily going to have access to all of their memories if they're a true essence being, because the Matrix wants them to continue sticking around. It's in its best interest to make sure that nobody is able to fully grasp their existence and all their experiences.
So, that brings me to the question of, after you die, you return to the spirit world, do you have to reincarnate? Tom Campbell says, no, we are not forced to reincarnate. We are not forced to go anywhere or do anything. But here's the problem with that. If you decide to just stay in the spirit world where everything is cozy and peaceful and nice and harmonious.
Here comes the excuse train.
The spirit world where everything is cozy and peaceful and nice and harmonious, you will never grow, because there's no growth under those conditions.
But why does the growth have to be under this bullshit condition. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, why does it have to be such an extreme? You know what I'm saying, Chad? Like, it shouldn't be an extreme. Like, you should be able to still, I mean, look, aren't we infinite, all-knowing, amazing, powerful beings? So we come down to this very limited perception reality. And we need that? I mean, what about tons of other realms? You know, that are not parasitic in nature, that are not a dog-eat-dog world. What about those? What about realms that we can incarnate in that do not involve taking even 0.0001% of my essence and memories? Those realms got to exist. And we could still experience in them, have fun, do our thing, and whatever. Personally, that's not even in my mind right now, but perhaps down the road, when I leave here and feel better and feel confident about the powers in which I have, which we all have, and the exploits that can mess us up, where we might give away a piece of our essence again in exchange for an experience. No. We got to be careful just to play it safe for our own individual well-being, so that we're not ending up in this cycle all over again, no matter what reality it is. My rule of thumb going forward, and I stress this, is that, you know, if you want to go have fun and chill in different realms and do your thing, go for it. But if you approach the door or the gates, so to say, and they are like, hey, you know, you got to give us 20% of your essence. Like I said, not even 0.0001% of your essence. And you're going to have memory loss and wipes and all this other stuff and blah, blah, blah. No, the answer is no. That's a deal breaker right away. Nope. I mean, this is the type of thinking. Look, this was a lesson for us not to get caught up in this type of bullshit again. That's truly what it was. That's the only lesson, is to, you know, that you need to liberate yourselves via individualism, sovereignty, liberation. I mean, the same old things I keep talking about, but, you know, that is the only lesson to be learned here.
Yes, it might be pleasant, but after a while, Tom Campbell said that you're going to grow bored. And we as souls were created with this inherent desire to improve ourselves, to improve our lives, to improve our community. Cops. So many cops pass here. Like, this is, like, it's all millionaires here. So they have an abundance of cops passing here like every few minutes. Anyway, that's why I feel very safe in this spot, by the way. This is not like in the bad part of town, believe me. So to get back to it, we all have this inherent desire to level up. Whether you admit it or not, you do. Now, you may know people that do not have a desire to level up. Trust me, inside they do. They suffer from learned helplessness. Some people give up, but that desire to improve is always inside of them. People always want to put their best foot forward. They want to present a good light to the world. They want to do well. But often souls get corrupted due to just the nature of the game here. And when Tom Campbell was asked, where does evil come from? He said, evil is just a result of us.
Here we go. This is the classic Matrix blame game. Listen up, you know, and squirm. Here we go.
Nature of the game here.
In case you didn't hear.
And when Tom Campbell was asked, where does evil come from? He said, evil is just a result of us.
It's just a result of us. I don't care what the explanation is after that. This is just the classic, oh, you know what it is? It's if you watch again my trailer video for the channel, I talk about, what's the point of all this? If you look at that, like, think about all the things that we have all been blamed for. And I talk about how we grew up in a dumpster fire, and the dumpster fire has offered ABC options for us and blamed us for XYZ because of the options that the dumpster fire offered to us and that we grew up around. So, this whole blaming thing, it's over. It's over. All right. I'm so sick of the blame game. It gets old after a while. And that's what we hear all the time. Look, we all live better lives and stuff like that. But yeah, we've all been put through the ringer in this system and are expected to go along to get along within the confines of the system. Okay. You need a car. You need to buy gas. You need to go to work or whatever you need to do. Okay. Pick up the kids from school. Well, you're burning gas and affecting the environment. And then we get blamed for the environment. I mean, on and on and on. All this stuff. It's classic, just, guilt trip. Ugh. It's really cringy. Really cringy.
Nature of the game here. And when Tom Campbell was asked, where does evil come from? He said, evil is just a result of us. If you look around the world, governments are corrupt, the police are corrupt, organizations are corrupt, not because they're inherently corrupt because that's how structures are. It's because the people within them, the individual people within them, are corrupt. Now,
okay, that's not necessarily always the case. Again, reverting back to the trailer video for the channel, one of the biggest things you can take away is that if you grow up, early childhood development plays a massive role in this, okay? If the systems that you and I are all brought up into trickle down on you, remember the first 7 years from birth to year 7, sometimes 6, are the most formative. We're like sponges. We pick up everything around our surroundings, okay? And then that is most likely going to play itself out for the rest of our lives based on those first 7 years. And if there's a reason why that quote out there, I believe it was a Jesuit quote where they're saying, give me the boy till age 7 and I'll show you the man. That is why that quote exists. And it lines up perfectly with early childhood development years and how the brain frequency that we're learning in is completely different up until that period. And then after that, it switches off. Boom, twists to another part. And then, well, how convenient. We're all, we're in school already for a few years. We're getting hit with religion and learning off our families and our grandparents and on and on and on. Well, how convenient. It's all set up so perfectly. But yeah, it's not just an individual problem. It's a systemic problem. And for Tom to say otherwise is really, it's an insult to everyone's intelligence. I'm sorry.
Because they're inherently corrupt because that's how structures are. It's because the people within them, the individual people within them, are corrupt.
See, that's false. Yes, there are individual people that are absolutely corrupt, but corruption is also learned because of the systems that keep being passed down generation after generation and the institutions that are set up into place. The whole drive for money and power and fame, all this stuff. Come on. That is deeply embedded and enrooted in our society, Chad, and we cannot deny that. So for Tom to say that, I'm sorry. I know you're just repeating what he said, but the truth is completely opposite. It's a systemic issue. Now, will people or can people break out of moral and ethical dilemmas later on in their lives and say, and look back and say, oh, well, you know, I messed up there. I know I have. I fucked up a lot. And I look back at my old self, I don't recognize it, but you know how long that took? It took a long time to get to that self-realization point. And it all, that all those periods of years before stem back to what was in my surroundings. That's it.
Now, not everybody, of course. There are very good people in the world, but they're more far and few between. Because as I made a video one time stating that most of the people in the world are like level 1 and level 2 souls. I think it was like 73, 74%. So almost 3/4 of the people are more like beginner souls. And then you have level 3, 4, and 5 spread among that like 26, 27%.
I mean, you know, really, where do the numbers come from? How do we know with any certainty what that involves? And if any of it's true? I mean, I totally believe that, you know, there are okay, so this is the fine line. I do believe there are beginners that come here or just enter the matrix, and maybe it's their first time, or maybe first 5, 10 lifetimes, 100 lifetimes. I don't know how many times I've been here. I feel like I've been here quite a while, but I have no clue. And I don't think any of us can ever, no one can really answer that. We might have an idea that, you know, yes, we've been here before. We might be able to tap into a few past lives, but no one really knows how long we've all been here. And new souls, young souls, which I translate to being not just newly into existence, but newly born into this matrix existence, okay? So I believe many of us, if not all of us, come from outside somewhere else and somehow, you know, shuffled our way into this place. And, well, that doesn't mean that all of us are, you know, we just started experiencing existence, you know, just this lifetime, a few lifetimes ago. But I think it's how it pertains to this specific matrix. That's the difference that I come at with all this. And I think it's something that, you know, in order for reincarnation to work, truly, that's a big part of it, because we can't just assume that everyone kind of comes in from this matrix system. There has to be a bunch of different beings coming from all over the place and then saying, okay, hey, sign me up. Let me experience this crap. And they move forward. And I'm not saying that you don't think any different, but, you know, I don't know exactly what you're referring to here. I'm assuming new souls means like, oh, you know, they're just fresh to existence, or does it mean that they're just first time in the matrix system, or newly to the matrix system? So just throwing that out there.
And level 5 souls may account for less than 1% of all the people on the planet. So we live in a world where most of the people are not evolved. And unfortunately, level 5 and level 4 souls, even level 3, have to live with these level 1 souls. You know, it's kind of like being sent to a prison when you're a really good person. Imagine that.
It's kind of like being sent to a prison. You have to be around all these ignorant people that, you know, don't realize that they're in some sort of crazy illusion where their freedom is trying to be exploited and messed with and all that. But, you know, you just got to deal with it. But we're here to grow. I mean, so what happened to the levels of growth? You know, this isn't, I mean, let's just call it what it is. You know, if there's all these dividing lines, and there is some merit to suggest that this is actually kind of true based on regression cases, then why are we all kind of mixed up in all this bullshit? I mean, if it is illusion, if it is this big illusion, and it is, it's very interactive and real feeling illusion, then why not have multiple different realms? So that, you know, if there are souls, spirits, true essence beings higher up and more evolved on the totem pole, then why should they have to deal with so much endless bullshit? You know what I'm saying? Why should they have to deal with all that when they could just go about their day, do their thing amongst the highly elevated souls? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it just kind of seems like it would get old after a while, right? I don't know.
Live with these level 1 souls. You know, it's kind of like being sent to a prison when you're a really good person. Imagine that you're wrongly accused of a crime and you're found guilty. You go to this prison where probably 95% of the convicts there have a low quality of consciousness. And you have to exist inside that. And you just say, hey, I am going to be nice to everybody, I'm going to mind my own business and be peaceful. Well, it doesn't work like that, because those lowly evolved convicts will prey on you no matter what. And your show of goodness and kindness and love is seen as weakness. And unfortunately, sometimes that's how it is in the real world as well. People mistake kindness, compassion for weakness, even in the real world. And so I completely understand when you guys say that you do not want to return here, but just remember.
Damn right I don't want to return here. There's just remember, no.
In the real world. And so I completely understand when you guys say that you do not want to return here, but just remember, when you're in the spirit world, you forget about that.
You forget about that. So just further confirming the memory wipe and how deceptive it is. Further confirming it. We're hearing it right from Chad's mouth. I mean, we just need to regain control of ourselves. What's wrong with that? We all know that the veil of forgetfulness is real. We're experiencing it right now. We've seen how many examples of it in NDEs and all these other different experiences. It happens constantly. We see it in real time as they're telling us their experience. And we're all living examples of it. So don't we deserve better? Don't we deserve to take a chance on ourselves and not rely on something exterior to ourselves? Isn't that okay? Everything points to the soul trap. Everything. It is so ridiculously in line with every bit of research I've done. It's not even funny. It's massive, Chad. And I really hope that you can evolve on this and share it with your audience, because they deserve to know. And, you know, the one thing you're going to have to come to grips with is that, you know, maybe, just maybe, talking about this information, you're going to lose subscribers. But you're going to gain some too. And you're going to have a better questioning, more thorough group of subscribers who are just saying, okay, let me just see what you got. Let me see what you got, Chad. Show me what you got and let me consider it. Because like you said, you know, you're open-minded to these things. So talk about it. Present the evidence. Look at the experiencer cases. And I promise you, Chad, over the course of a year or two, you'll see it. You'll see it if you want it, if you know, being honest with yourself. Anybody can see it. And that's like the thing I push on this channel constantly is everyone has to do their own research. If you're not doing your own research, I don't expect anyone to take my word for it. I know a lot of people look at all the videos I post and stuff, but at the end of the day, it's such a small sample of the bigger picture of what is available out there. I mean, I can only cover one experiencer account at a time or one book at a time. And there's so much out there. So everyone should always be doing their own research and never thinking that they have the full answer, because anyone who's claiming they have the full answer is full of shit. All I know is that we're in some massive deception and something isn't right And I'm just trying to take the safe route with non-interference, sovereignty, and liberation. That's it. That's all I talk about here. And people like Tom Campbell like to mix and twist it into something that it's not, along with many other people. And that's the type of thing that bothers me, especially using words like cult. Come on. I mean, that's just, it's offensive.
It's gone. Those feelings that you have right now will be dissipated. They will evaporate. And you will be in the spirit world. Time will be passing. And you will realize that you're not leveling up your game. And Tom Campbell also said that a spirit can grow bored. Imagine being in optimal circumstances at all times. You have everything you ever need. There's no fun in that. You want to experience life again. You want to get back.
No. I don't want to experience this again, Chad. I don't. Some people do. And, maybe they're young souls. I mean, I don't know. I don't, it's not my problem. It's not anyone's problem, because this, again, is a truly individual journey. I do not want to ever, under any circumstance, experience this limiting crackpot of a reality. I don't. Ever. Nothing will ever get me back here. And if people want to make excuses for this reality and wash it away, let them, because that's on them, not on me, not on you, not on every person in the chat tonight. Everyone has to make a decision as an individual on what they feel is best for them. But trust me, this guy ain't coming back under any circumstance. Yeah, okay. So even if I get bored in the void state, let's say, my first thought would certainly not be to come back here. It would be, I would be creating my own reality around me and seeing, what I can do, what I can't do, maybe what, even though it seems like there aren't many limitations, but, testing the water, seeing what I can do. Maybe I'll have all my memories back and think about, oh man, remember that badass reality I was at before Earth? Remember how badass that reality was? And they didn't mind wipe me and do all this other crap. Yeah, I'm going back there, man. What about that place? What about that place? Not the parasitic reality, but the reality that it doesn't involve taking all my memories, Chad. Right, man? That's what I'm saying.
Back into the game. And just remember, if you're not in the game, there's no chance to win. There's no chance to lose. There's no thrill. There's no victory.
Why do you need that? This is earthbound thinking, Chad. We don't need victory. We don't need conquering things. We don't need it. We're surrounded by this. And you know what, Chad? It's pretty freaking lame. It's lame. This whole, power dynamic stuff, it's lame. I don't need to conquer anybody. I don't need to conquer anything. I need to conquer my sovereignty, if anything. That's it. So I mean, basically, Chad, I'm just trying to say, man, don't limit your scope on who and what you truly are. Don't do it, man. You deserve better. You deserve so much better than limiting yourself to this kind of perspective.
To win, there's no chance to lose. There's no thrill. There's no victory. There's no striving for something. So Tom said, sooner or later, you as a spirit will probably want to get back into the game. Now, does that mean that you have to incarnate back into Earthworld? No. Tom Campbell said that there are many virtual reality worlds that you can incarnate to.
Yeah, within the confines of the Matrix, probably.
There are many virtual reality worlds that you can incarnate to. It's really interesting, but Tom Campbell talked about this one reality he went to, and he doesn't usually do that, but he mentioned it. He called it the done reality. And these are for souls that thought they were done. They thought they were enlightened, and they didn't need to reincarnate anymore. So these souls...
Okay, so when I heard this, it really got my wheels turning. So this is, of course, I have nothing to back this up, but in my opinion, when I hear this type of thing, I'm thinking, oh, well, this is a type of reality within the Matrix construct that make people think that they are enlightened and that they've reached the pinnacle of whatever, only to kind of eventually make them feel bored or like they have to do something else and get out of this enlightened state. I mean, seriously, that it feels like such a trap to me when I hear this. It's not even funny. So here, just hear it out one more time.
It's called, he called it the done reality. And these are for souls that thought they were done. They thought they were enlightened, and they didn't need to reincarnate anymore. So these souls were, I guess, reincarnated into bodies in this done reality. And when they got there, they just sat around and said, we're done. They kind of knew that they were in a simulation. It's kind of funny because
they kind of knew they were in a simulation. How about that? So they're not free. They're still within the Matrix. Isn't this great? I mean, it just proves, I mean, it's not great, but it proves further, it shows further evidence of the deception up front and center. If this is true, you got to take Tom Campbell's word at it. No, maybe it is true. We'll go with the thought that it is, because we know the astral realm is filled with deception and all various other things. So why not this? Makes sense. You know what I imagine this realm to be? Something like, oh, you've reached the end of the Bardo states and you're right there at liberation. And then boom, okay, all right, we can't trick him anymore, and he can't trick her anymore, and they're, you know, you're going through all these states, and then you end up at the end like, okay, here's the enlightenment world. Have fun, but it's still a virtual reality. You're gonna want to go back to Earth eventually, or whatever. But as long as you're within the Matrix construct, we're not worried. That's how they think. I'm telling you, that's how they think. I'm convinced of it.
I guess, reincarnated into bodies in this done reality. And when they got there, they just sat around and said, we're done. They kind of knew that they were in a simulation. It's kind of funny because, you know, I was watching a Tom Campbell video recently, and somebody said, Tom, have you ever been to a virtual reality where the beings or people there knew that they were actually in a virtual reality? Now, you and I know that. But for some of you, there's probably a small seed of doubt in the back of your mind that this is actually a virtual reality. However, Tom was asked if he's ever been to one where the people knew 100% if they were in a simulation. And Tom said, not really. He said, accept the done reality. Those people knew they were in a simulation. But you know what happened there? Those people stopped evolving, they stopped working, and they actually started forming cliques. And then they realized that they were basically forming the same situation that they had evolved on from other planets like Earth.
They were forming cliques. Yeah, they're like, how the hell do I get out of this nightmare? That's probably what they think. Imagine, okay, I'm in an enlightenment nightmare now. I'm telling you, these people, these essence beings, they made it through the Bardo realm, and this is where they ended up. Assuming this is what actually true, what actually happened. Yeah, Elon is the best salesman in my opinion. I agree. He's got, I mean, not a good salesman for many of us, but you know, he's the Matrix. Whew, so many people believe in him. Oh, what a nightmare.
And they realized they were going backwards. And the moral of the story is that they eventually realized that there's never a time when you're done. Tom Campbell does not believe in enlightenment. So you have to continually work, whether you're working in a new body, in a new incarnation, whether you're working in the spirit world, or whether you're working in this gelato shop.
So yeah, you gotta, hey guys, Okay, maybe we should take a poll. All right, here's the question. You guys ready for it? Does it sound fun to work on Earth and in the astral after death? Yeah. All right. There you go. There are your options. All right. I mean, come on. I mean, and you know what? He's not even wrong, because this is stuff I've run across where, they openly say that, you work in the astral. Who the hell wants to leave this place and then end up working in the astral? And then there's always this silver lining. Oh, well, you have no pain and no suffering and this and that. Yeah, but your memory's wiped and you're still within the confines of the freaking Matrix. What kind of benefit is that? And then what happens? Oh, little down the road, they knock on the door and they say, "Hey, Anne, welcome. It's time to go back to Earth," or Vince, or William. I mean, come on. I mean, this is the type of crap that's going on. And we've seen many accounts of it too. So, I mean, it's not like this is uncommon. Some people maybe they might not necessarily be working in every instance, but they could be working like in a field or what the interesting thing is, sometimes they're working by a river or a body of water of some sorts. And of course that has the links with forgetfulness and reincarnation and stuff like that. So that there's kind of that link, which is interesting. But toss that aside, you even have a person like Mary, who I interviewed. She was just hanging out by a tree with a couple other spirits, and got hoodwinked into coming down here, and she didn't want to. Then there was, I think, another a pre-birth experience we went over, if I recall, and yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a pre-birth experience, and they were hanging out with a group of people too, and I think it was by a tree or in a forest or whatever it was. And they're like, "Okay, yeah, we need some volunteers to come to Earth. Are you going to come to Earth?" And everyone's like, "No, no, 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 no." And they said, "Oh, yeah, but we really need you. We really need you." And so finally one reluctantly agrees to go. And then this is the crazy part. All right. So then you have the group there, and she says, "Yeah, I will go, but I'm only going to go if someone comes with me." And then someone says, "Oh, yeah, I'll go with you." And swear to God, swear to Parasite that the person or the being that was supposed to go with them said, "Okay, yeah, you go ahead of me. I'll be right behind you." They go down, and they didn't jump down to Earth. They didn't end up being reincarnated. They didn't go. They're like looking up, and they're like, "Oh," like basically they got tricked. The trick was in writing. We saw it with our own eyes. I wish I could remember what case it was, but that was, I don't know, maybe a few months back. I can't keep track of these things, but the point is we saw the deception up front and center. None of these beings wanted to go. Then someone felt, pressured into it. They raised their hand. They say, "Okay, I'm not going unless someone comes with me." And they say, "Okay, yeah, okay, everyone's ready to go." And of course, she goes first, goes down, and as she's looking, the other being isn't coming down and turns around, or whatever the case was. So, come on. I mean, come on. That's just like the most ridiculous level of trolling you can run across. You think trolling's bad here on Earth? That is about as bad as it gets.
I'd love to see, I never come here during the daytime, so I have no idea what these shops are like during the day, but, I'd love to have some gelato, but I don't think I'm going to stay here until it opens. I don't even bring water on my trips. I just go and I don't worry about it. I'm usually out for like 3, 4, 5 hours. It's probably 4 o'clock in the morning now, so I'm gonna get going soon, but I just want to finalize by saying you do not have to reincarnate if you do not want to. It's your choice. However, most souls will choose to reincarnate eventually. And I just want to say a few more things. This is primarily a spiritual channel. I talk about simulation theory, time travel, Mandela effects, all that stuff. I'm not going to stop talking about that. However, when it comes to some of these conspiracy theory things, I do want to touch on them because I know a lot of you are interested. I'm interested. I mean, I don't want anything to happen to our country. I mean, of course, it's already happened, but I don't want it to get worse. And so, by me helping to spread the message, hopefully people will become more aware. So if stuff like Gideon says, however, I had the military look at what's happening and just say everything is positive and therefore my entire reality is going to be positive.
Okay, so yes, Chad, this is why we should talk. You did the video on the soul trap. Maybe you did it for a reason. Maybe it jarred something loose and you thought that, there's something to it. Why else would you want to speak to Eric, right? But there's a lot to this topic. And I think you and your subscribers would benefit a lot from hearing the information. So don't close yourself off to it.
Because how did that work out for the people that lived under Stalin, Hitler, Mao Zedong, Pol Pot? All of these dictators, right? They could have stuck their head in the sand, said, I have a great reality, I have a farm, and then what happened?
Okay.
So they invited me to join their platform.
All right, so I'll leave that one alone. So now that was the end of it for that one. We're going to go into one more video, and this one is the last video. It is titled, let's see. You know what? I'm sorry. I do got to take a quick break. I just got to fill my water. We've got maybe about another half hour to go when I get back from the break. So hang in there for a few minutes. I'll try to get back here in under 5 minutes, and we'll see each other shortly. Thank you. Okay. So we are going to dive back into the final video of Chad from Open Your Reality. Title of this video is Why Does This World Suck So Much? All right, let's go.
Welcome to Open Your Reality. I'm Chad. You know what? Let's take this thing off. I don't like the way it looks right now. Let's go fully bald. This is the way I should look. Anyway, I wanted to make a video today talking about why this world sucks so much. Okay, well, it doesn't really suck all that much, but a lot of you in the comment section, you don't really like this world. You don't like how your life is going. You don't want to be here anymore. And when you leave, you don't want to come back. And I kind of wanted to talk about some of the things about this PMR, this physical matter reality, that make it so distasteful to some people, and maybe just, show you that it's maybe not as bad as you think. Now, this is a physical matter reality. It is one that is evolving, not planned. That is the difference. A planned reality, you would think, is like something that God made deliberately for us to suffer in. That is not the case. This PMR, the conditions were set, the run button was pushed, and voila, here we are. So if things are not so comfortable for us as human beings, it is not because God intended them to be exactly like that. It's because this PMR evolved to be that way, and we, as spirits in human form, have to fit into that. As I've said in other videos, this is a suffering world. This is an evolved world, not a planned one. For me, however, I escape in my dreams. For some reason, I have these amazing dreams where I interact with people, I go places, I do things, and it's so rich and varied. And they say you dream in black and white, but I'm pretty sure I dream in color, because the other day I remember seeing pink and blue, and a lot of people escape through drugs, alcohol, gambling. I've never done any of that. What I do is I dream. And I know some of you in the comments section said that you also have these amazing dreams, lucid dreams. And I think that's one way that we can escape. And Tom Campbell has said that the dream world is somewhat almost as valid as our regular everyday earth life.
Back to Tom Campbell. Look, the funny thing is there are surroundings in the dream world and in the astral, which I think are just the same, except it's the varying levels of lucidity in which we're going through. So, but I think there's a little bit too much. I mean, there's a clear theme throughout all these videos, is that Tom Campbell is close to guru status. At least that's my opinion. Maybe that's not the case, but just an observation.
Because it is just another virtual reality for our consciousness to learn. It's like Tom said, there's no rest for the weary. When we come here, our souls are always working, always learning, always evolving, whether in waking life or in the dream state. And
see, always working, always busy, always distracted, always deceived into giving this realm more than it deserves. There are all the realms linked to this entire matrix. See, this is where it's got to stop. Who is in charge and is making these decisions that I have to work and deal with any of this horse shit? Who are they? Why can't we be rooted in individualism, sovereignty, liberation, non-interference? Again, see what happens. Stop going along with the show. I mean, just saying. I was going to say something else, but I'll leave it alone.
What's very unique and different about this particular PMR is we have a large mix of different souls here, different levels of quality of consciousness. We have beginner souls. We also have souls that have incarnated from other systems, meaning other PMRs that have never been on Earth. And there's, of course, two differences there. A new soul is not going to have a great deal of experience, sometimes no experience. So they make really poor choices. It's not that they're not intelligent, because when a soul is born, it's imbued with a certain level of intelligence that primarily stays the same. It's just the quality of consciousness that's different. So that soul has to start off down here and learn to gradually build up.
Why? Why does that have to even happen? You know, I mean, don't you think we deserve better? Oh, like my dog's about to. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. All right. So yeah, I mean, I guess the big question is why do we have to go through this whole rigmarole?
Now, a soul that comes from outside, like a hybrid soul that comes from a different star system, that soul is kind of like a wanderer or walk-in, and that soul can be an intermediate or advanced soul, but sometimes they have just a lot of trouble acclimating to this reality.
Rightfully so. Sorry, the dog is just hold on. All right, there you go. Go sit down, relax. Okay, so yeah, I mean, the walk-in term is from Dolores Cannon. That's straight out of Dolores Cannon land. So anyways, what the whole levels of learning, the mind wipe is unacceptable. I mean, it is a literal pyramid scheme, which would explain why the pyramid's on the dollar bill. And the light with the all-seeing eye is the capstone. Looking down, looking out. And then it says, in God we trust. In God we trust and the light is often referred to as God. Over and over and over in experiencers, they say the light is literally God.
Can be an intermediate or advanced soul, but sometimes they have just a lot of trouble acclimating to this reality because it's usually more coarse, more dense, just different than their own reality. And there's a lot of bad stuff that goes on here. You know, I made a video in the past talking about a certain soul named Kano. He's a Japanese man. He was regressed by Dr. Michael Newton, who I talk about quite often, who was a regression therapist, and he wrote some excellent books. The two that I recommend you read, Journey of Souls and Destiny of Souls. Yes. I'll put the links below for you. But anyway, in Destiny of Souls, Dr. Newton put Kano under hypnosis, and Kano said that he was, on his second incarnation, but his first incarnation took place 300 years prior in India, and he lived in squalor. It was a very difficult incarnation, and his daughter was taken from him. And I think I actually spoke the whole story. I don't remember what video it was, but it was super interesting to me because what Dr. Campbell did in some of his books was he listed the transcript. He would actually just put the transcript of the conversation that he had with these clients under hypnosis.
And again, I went through both of those cover to cover, both books. And I'm telling you, what is being represented there shows the deception up front and center in our faces. It's just that Newton, Dolores Cannon, Brian Weiss, all these people who are giving us these stories, they are also interjecting their personal belief system onto us in the book. Newton does it like a champ. Throughout the whole thing, he's inputting and giving his opinion up, down, left, and right. And then he admits to having assistance from his spirit guides and entities. And those books just happen to sell really well. Just like some of the NDEers books that sell really well. And they're told that they're on a mission, and the mission is that, they have to come and spread the word about what's going on and how to help humanity, and if they do this and they do that, and blah blah blah, and on and on and on. But I mean, not to derail too much, but the majority of people who have NDEs and talk about coming back and having these missions, even some of the pre-birth memories, talk about missions that they were told that they had and this and that. In the grand scheme of things, most of the time they don't remember. Most of the time, there's huge portions of it missing, if not all of it. And they're still rummaging throughout their life, trying to find out what their purpose is. So you would think that if someone is here to evolve and grow, again, I'm not going to go into too much of a tangent, but if they're here to evolve and grow and move on, then you think they'd at least remember their damn mission, right? Is that not too much to ask for? I mean, are we really that sensitive and bent on a shape that we can't even have any confidence about what the hell our freaking mission is? Come on. I mean, we're not like, Christ, if you can survive this place, you can survive anywhere. You can't take a little mission hint? Come on. Let's get with it.
And Kano was basically a Japanese man in his second lifetime, but he was still having a lot of difficulty acclimating to Earth life because he was an etheric being in his former incarnations. He was actually, I think, more of an advanced soul. And he was about to become a teacher soul, but he was referred to Earth by one of his guides and said, you should go to Earth, you should experience that so you can have more knowledge about how to help other souls. And that's the reason he came here 300 years ago and then incarnated again as this Japanese man. Souls come here for many different reasons. Some of us are Earth junkies. Some of us just stay in this PMR and keep going over and over and over.
That's something I've talked about, that there are a section of society who are Earth junkies. They're completely addicted to the sensory world. And I think all of us are guilty of that at some point. Even probably this most recent incarnation, we may have fallen for that. And thought that, hey, you know, I mean, look, if it's not attachments, it could be the sensory experience in general. The wanting to feel love, happiness, joy, the haptic feedback suit. Remember, like, this is just a meat suit, equivalent to a virtual reality getup that is out there. You can put it on and you can go in the virtual worlds and you can do certain actions and get feedback from this bodysuit, or just something even simple, just like the controller. How, you know, you bang up against a wall or a car and it vibrates. We are the living embodiment of that. Like, it's just a very high-tech haptic feedback sensory experience that we are in. And the whole point is to say, okay, I've had enough with it. I've done it. You know, so when natural death comes around down the road, I'm going to be ready to say goodbye and go my own way and not fall victim to the sensory attachments, the soul group attachments, and everything and anything in between.
Coming back. Now, there are also a mix of intermediate souls, of course, and we have our advanced souls. And advanced souls are usually working towards becoming
There's an advance.
Enlightened, so to speak. Now, there really is no enlightenment. If you want to know more about that, I made a video right here talking about why enlightenment is not really what you think it is. Enlightenment really is just a graduation from not having to come back here. Now, you can come back to help people. There are ascended masters that come back. But in general, once you're finished with your incarnations on Earth and you no longer need to come back and learn the lessons because you're at a certain quality of consciousness, then you can do other things. You can go to other PMRs or NP.
A certain quality of consciousness. So see, you've got to earn that. And this is kind of how it's laid out. It really is. In those books, it really spells it out. That, you know, hey, whatever color or number is assigned to you, well, hopefully, you know, you'll be in the Ascended Masters category or whatever. But there is some sort of crazy labeling system going on in the astral. No doubt about it.
Finished with your incarnations on Earth and you no longer need to come back and learn the lessons because you're at a certain quality of consciousness, then you can do other things. You can go to other PMRs or NPMRs, and you could also work in the spirit world.
Yeah, you can get deceived in other realms within the Matrix. Yeah, sure. That's how it all works.
Then you can do other things. You can go to other PMRs or NPMRs, and you could also work in the spirit world. Now, I don't want to make it seem like, you know, the whole goal of being on Earth is just to work somewhere else, but our souls are all imbued with this quality of wanting to level up, wanting to be better. We all have that inherent in us. So when you finish with your incarnations here, you want to continue helping out the system, helping newer souls or lesser evolved souls.
No.
Now, overall, this Earth PM...
I want nothing to do with that whatsoever. The time to help is while we're here now. Let people know about the bullshit. And once our time is up, it's up. Then, you know, somebody else down the road has to help spread the word and get the word out that, you know, this place is a bunch of bullshit. And that, you know, we need to go our own way as individuals and stand up for ourselves once and for all.
Here, you want to continue helping out the system, helping newer souls or lesser evolved souls. Now, overall, this Earth PMR's trajectory is going up, but it's not a steady up. It's more of like 2 or 3 steps ahead, 1 step back, 2 or 3 steps ahead, 1 step back. And we can see that humans have better conditions now than they did 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, even 100 years ago. And if you look at the wealthiest king 500 years ago, they do not have the same amenities as somebody who's lower middle class has today. They didn't have indoor bathroom and plumbing. They weren't able to go to a supermarket and pick up food or go to restaurants like we have them today, even transportation. You know, medical science, all this stuff. We are living a better life than the richest king did 500 years ago. Now, the only thing that king could beat you...
Do you know how... I mean, really, this is another poll-worthy question. How many times have we heard... I mean, I heard that in school constantly. Do you know that, you know, we live better than most kings and queens did back in the day? Yeah, but look at the scorched earth bullshit going around the world. And that's only a certain segment of the population. That's not everybody. It's all about where we chose to incarnate. If we didn't choose to incarnate in, let's say, the United States or the UK, or probably should even be careful with that because it depends where you live, right? It really depends where you choose to incarnate, the family you choose to incarnate in, and how that all plays out. Big factor. So some may be living like that, but we're not in their shoes, how the kings and queens used to live. I mean, Christ, they get people to change their clothes for them. You know, like 8 people changing like a king's or queen's clothes, or, you know, wiping their ass. I mean, come on. I mean, it's just not that simple because not everyone lives with the modern day amenities out there. Some are in slavery right now as we speak, making all of the clothing and computers and the cell phones and the tablets and all this stuff, and on and on. All these things are happening as we speak And you know what? It's because they ended up deciding or being manipulated into incarnating in a certain geographical location that didn't have their best interest at heart. So it only goes so far.
500 years ago. Now, the only thing that king could beat you on is probably the amount of women he had and how much power. But other than that, we are living way better than kings did 500, maybe even 100 years ago. So overall, conditions are getting better. People are recognizing human rights more. There's more equality with the races. Is it perfect? By no means. By no means at all, right? There is still a lot of bad things going on in this world. Yeah. However, it depends on what you focus. I mean, if you put the TV on, you look at the news at night, you're going to see a lot of bad things happening. So the focus is always on the negative and not so much on the positive, and that's why it seems so bad. But
well, you know, the key thing is not to consume that garbage. Don't consume it. If you decide not to consume that stuff, you will be a much better person or have a much better experience than someone who is consuming that. If you take the world stage seriously, well, you're going to have the toxicity that comes from the world stage and giving it the credence that it so desperately wants you to give it. And we all deserve better than that. We do. So, I mean, one of the biggest suggestions I put out there is, like, you know, at least with YouTube and other social media, is make sure, you know, something comes up in your recommended that you're not subscribed to or whatever. Click the 3 dots on the right and put do not recommend, do not follow, whatever the button is, and just keep doing it over and over. I promise, like over a month or two, if you're doing that, eventually you will not get anything in your feed about what the hell is going on in the world. It's a beautiful thing. It's the best. But we also have to go back to what we were talking about earlier, where, you know, some people don't necessarily have something like a TV or are hooked into the mainstream parasitic news network, but they are still working in a sweatshop. They are still starving at night. So, you know, again, we're talking about in the big picture of everything, we're talking about, you know, Western problems. And even then, there are plenty of Westerners who go to sleep every night without food in their stomach or proper clothing, whether it's hot or cold outside. And these are the types of things that are not necessarily thought of as much if you're not experiencing them. But they have to be taken into account. And these problems are massive. They're realm wide. But it's kind of like the mentality, you know, you block it out. If you don't see it, you don't know it exists. But everyone deserves better. So, good night, Vince. Sleep well, bro.
A lot of us are also struggling. We're struggling with health conditions. We're struggling with finances, relationships, just the meaning of life. We have no direction. We don't feel like we're on our mission. And all of these things can contribute just the meaning of life. We have no direction. We don't feel like we're on our mission. And all of these things can contribute to having depression and having sadness in your life. And I understand exactly what that is. And one of the reasons I made this channel is just to kind kind of talk about the big picture of why these things happen, but also to offer a little bit of advice on how to make your life better. When it comes to your health, health is very problematic because of how toxic our world is, how toxic the food, the water, the air. It's not an easy subject to tackle, and unfortunately, we are a victim to modernization. And doctors sometimes can't cure us. There's so many people that I run into that have health issues where the doctors just don't know what's wrong with them. And I think in that sense, we need to be our own doctors sometimes. But all of these things, when they don't go well in our lives, we really suffer. Like I said, this is a suffering world. But at the same time, it's also full of opportunities for avatars like us to take advantage of these things and use them to grow and evolve. And it really depends on your perspective. You know, one of my heroes and mentors, Tom Campbell,
Heroes and mentors.
perspective. You know, one of my heroes and mentors, Tom Campbell of MBT fame, has said that we can only make decisions based on what we know and feel. We can go by our past experiences, the data that's presented to us, and our intuition. But nothing is truly guaranteed, and that's because there are just too many variables in this multiplayer evolving reality. It's a probable future. We just don't know for sure what it's going to be. Everybody.
Yeah, you see that cube there?
It's a probable future. We just don't know for sure what it's going to be. Everybody wants to find the perfect mate. Everybody wants the perfect job. You know, but how do you know if that person or that job is ideal for you? You just don't. All you can do is make decisions and live with the results. Actually, Tom says it's not so much what decision you make, but how you respond to it that counts. The fact is that this reality is made up of free will decisions and a random draw, but at least today people have more choice and more opportunity than ever before. You know, you could be a seller on Amazon, for instance, and nobody cares what race you are, nobody cares what gender you are, how old you are, or how much money you have or your family has. So the internet has created this equality where it doesn't so much matter anymore about who you are, it's what you can produce. It's more of a meritocracy. Now, this Earth life, maybe it does suck for a lot of people, but I just want to point out that there is also a lot of good. And the main thing is, even if it does suck, you know, I'm going to continue going through it as long as I'm here, and I'm going to try to level up and evolve and do the best I can for my soul.
Okay, so here are the key words there. I'm going to level up and evolve. So, you know, Chad, you're buying into the life lessons, the school, the narrative that this is a learning experience. When, I'm sorry, nothing can be further from the truth. If we are all-knowing, all-powerful beings outside of these bodies and capable of amazing different things, then why limit ourselves to such a really sad realm? I mean, I try to stay as positive as I can, and I separate what I do on the channel and talk about from my daily life as best as possible. But at the same time, I don't shy away from calling out the obvious problems of this reality, this experience. You know, my ups, my downs, my journey, everyone else's journey, and taking it with a grain of salt and realizing that, okay, yeah, this place is some crazy illusion, but I still wake up every morning. I still wake up in pain. I still wake up and have to face the day and pay the bills and do everything like everybody else does. And I think the point is that we are excusing this reality away far too much. And it's time that we put our foot down and say, okay, what is being conveyed in the astral through all these experiencer cases does not align in any way, shape, or form to what's going on here. It just doesn't. It doesn't. The fact that there is a love bomb during near-death experiences, and that, you know, they roll out the welcome wagon, whether it's the parent, the deceased parents, the pets, the brother, the sister, the husband, the wife, and on and on and on, or God itself, or Jesus, or Buddha, or Muhammad, whoever, should be a warning enough that something isn't right. Why do people experience this overpowering love that they will say time and time again, over and over and over, that it's a love that cannot be compared or comprehended to on earth? It's the most love, the best love they've ever felt. And mothers will say that it's more love than the birth of their own children. Couples will say it's more than the day that they got married. And on and on and on. Pick the most loving moment you have, multiply it by 1,000, 1,000,000, 10,000, whatever, and it doesn't touch the amount of love that was experienced on earth. Doesn't that sound like almost like a euphoria, drugging almost? That's what it sounds like. It sounds like we're getting roofied when we cross the freaking white light. When we go through the tunnel, as we get closer and closer and closer, the love intensifies. Boom, boom, boom. And then we're there, and then like it's like we're just, you know, completely subservient and going along and not even questioning anything. And then, of course, on top of that, we're being reunited with those that we love, or those that we think are God, or some religious deity that we, you know, grew up around and believed in. Isn't that just a little too weird, Chad? These are major, major issues that need to be addressed. And I really hope that you take advantage of sharing this information with your channel. I really do. Please. I think everyone needs to make their own decision on this, and nothing should be shut down out of fear of, you know, some bad comments or something, or unsubscribers, or people unsubscribing. So it doesn't bother me. I don't think twice about it. Like, someone wants to watch, they watch. They don't want to watch, they don't want to watch. No big deal. At the end, you will have the true seekers ready and waiting to hear what you have to share, in hopes that maybe something new will come along, and that there'll be some knowledge and wisdom gained off of what is shared, and that they'll take matters into their own hands and do their own research, because that's key. If you're not doing your own research, then you're still going to have a limited perspective. So the key thing is that everyone needs to prove this to themselves, and it's easily obtainable. I promise. It might take a little while, but it's easy to obtain, as long as you have an open mind and open heart about, you know, being honest with what you're seeing in these experiencer cases. So that's enough of the rant.
Hey guys, let me know if you agree or disagree with what I'm saying in the comments section. Smash the like button, subscribe so YouTube people supporting for staying until the end.
Okay, so that actually was the end of it. Okay, I apologize. So yeah, I think I will leave things there. There might have been, I think, yeah, Vince asked a question early on. He said, if we were infinitely powerful, shouldn't we have annihilated this place already? Yeah. I mean, I think the key takeaway from that too is that there are many, many beings that totally buy into this illusion. They're completely content with it. They're fine with it. And they enjoy this sensory experience. So I think because of the free will aspect of things, that it's not always necessarily going to be able to be taken down or annihilated unless you have maybe majority rules. Maybe, you know, everyone needs to agree on it. And I would imagine that if you have the realm set up, all the structures going on, and even just a handful of beings signing on to it, well, you're just going to still work your ass off to make sure that those few people or those few beings are going along with the illusion. And that theoretically, unless it's some major consciousness mass download throughout the realms that awakens people, I don't think it can possibly be shut down. And to be honest, if it happens, great, but I'm not counting on it. I just think we need to finally stick up for ourselves, worry about ourselves, and not think twice about having a direction in our lives now and going forward at the time of natural death. That everything is rooted in non-interference, sovereignty, liberation. I know I repeat myself a lot, but I say it for a reason, because then you get allegations being thrown around that, you know, it's fundamentalism and it's a cult. I mean, come on. Anyways, all right, my friends, I think I'm going to leave it at that. I may pop into the Discord voice chat for a few minutes before bed. All right, good night, D. Good night, Dusty, Gnostic, William F., Jamie, Decode, and Ann. Good to see you, Ann. Zona, been a while. Hope you're doing well. Good to see you. Good to see you as well, Ann. It's been a while. Your Rancha, John Doe, TZ, History Buried, True Earth Chain, and everybody else who showed up tonight. Hope you're all doing well. Take care of yourselves, and I may see you tomorrow, actually, about thinking 5 o'clock Eastern. If not, it'll be Sunday. So keep an eye out for the notifications, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Sleep well. Enjoy your weekend. And if you're working, don't work too hard. And I'll probably see you tomorrow. Thank you.